acid attacks in the country. The centre today filed an affidavit in the Apex Court proposing steps to regulate acid sale in the open market. Here is what the government has proposed.
A week after the
Asking tonight is, will the government's prescription to designate acids as poison ensure better safety for women? To discuss that, I'm joined by Ranjana Kumari, Director, Centre for Social Research, Geeta Luthra, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, Lakshmi, an acid attack fighter herself, Alok Dikshit, who is with Stop Acid Attacks campaign. I welcome you all to News Night. Lakshmi ji, आपसे शुरू करूंगी. आपकी ही पिटिशन पर आज सेंटर ने एफिडेविट फाइल किया है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में. आपने पिटिशन 2006 में दाखिल करी थी. क्या आप आश्वस्त हैं आज कि जो एफिडेविट में सेंटर ने जो बातें कही हैं उससे एसिड अटैक सर्वाइवर्स को कुछ फायदा होगा?
हाँ, अगर वो इस चीज को कम्प्लीटली, अगर परसों इसकी हेयरिंग है, वो जजमेंट करेंगे, अगर वो इस चीज को पास कर देते हैं तो काफी हद तक एसिड अटैक रुक सकते हैं.
I'll come to you, Ms. Luthra now. Do you think that this affidavit filed with the Supreme Court raises some hopes for acid attack fighters?
Sure, I think it raises hopes. It's a major issue. I think it appears that Bangladesh has already done it many years ago, say 2002. If it can work there, I'm sure it can work here. It's a mammoth task. The question is, how really do we follow it? If we do follow it, make sure that those who purchase acid are identified. Surely it is Lakshmi's petition has come at the, come and has been taken note of by the court in the right spirit, and it's very, very laudatory that the court has actually taken action on it, and Lakshmi has filed the for cleaning, is used for so many things. So to make sure that it goes to the right hands is also very difficult.
Absolutely. The easy availability of acid in the open market is a problem. Before I come to you, Ms. Kumari, I'll come to you, Alok. You have worked very closely with acid attack survivors. What more beyond the affidavit is required?
See, exactly. Miss, first thing, we all are talking about the banning of medium, and we are doing it. But again, I'll say that this is which we can do, but it doesn't mean that it will like eradicate the whole problem. You know, we have like when we'll ban the acid again, these girls, are in, I think, Lakshmi's case, she's 23, and now after 2 years her attacker will be out, he'll be outside, and then he'll again probably want more, because we want law, we want a stricter law, that is then combination will work. Otherwise we are not going to do anything, we're not going to achieve anything.
We don't have a specific law, Ms. Kumari. We have the Criminal Law Amendment Act, which has this provision criminalizing acid attacks, and it also provides for a minimum punishment of 10 years, maximum punishment of life imprisonment, and also imposes a fine of up to 10 lakh. But is all that enough, including the affidavit?
Well, I think let me really commend Lakshmi and Alok. Both together have managed to make the government listen, and government has really come up with this note after a lot of pressure which has come from Supreme Court. So it's really not, and neither this is well considered nor it is well discussed note that has been presented, because well, let me also welcome that at least it will be licensed, at least has to be established before acid is sold to the person. So that is extremely important. But let me go to the other side of the whole story, that in spite of the fact that so many presentations we made to Verma Commission, and later who have the courage to fight are the women, and I remember of helping Sonali Sarkar and other acid attack victims. I think it's important. Third,
which brings me to my next question, Lakshmi. Rehabilitation policy, कुछ reports कह रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट ने एक रिहैबिलिटेशन पॉलिसी ड्राफ्ट नहीं सबमिट किया है आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट को. वो कितना जरूरी है, क्योंकि सिर्फ ये एक ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ फेस डिफेस हो रहा है या बॉडी पार्ट्स डिफेस हो रहे हैं. एक फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम है, साइकोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम है, फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम है, आपको जॉब्स मिलने में दिक्कतें होती हैं. तो ये रिहैबिलिटेशन वाला जो मुद्दा है, ये कितना जरूरी है?
बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, कि आज भी जैसे कि उन्होंने कहा, जिस तरीके से आज भी उन्होंने कहा कि जो मेरी लॉयर है अपर्णा भट्ट और जो गवर्नमेंट के जो लॉयर है, दोनों ने जो जज ने कहा कि दोनों मिलके ही उसको एक ड्राफ्ट बनाएंगे, फिर उसको परसों पेश करेंगे और वो ही बेटर होगा।
10 लाख का कॉम्पनसेशन मैक्सिमम प्रोवाइड करता है आज लॉ। क्या वो काफी है? क्योंकि जैसे रंजना जी ने कहा कि एक विक्टिम को कम से कम 30 लाख रुपए लगे अपना रिकंस्ट्रक्टिव सर्जरी कराने में।
अभी भी उनका फुल अच्छी तरीके से ठीक नहीं हुआ है।
कह रही हो लक्ष्मी,
बिल्कुल भी 30 लाख 10 लाख क्या है, 30 लाख में भी उनका बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं हुआ है और अभी भी उनकी आंखें नहीं है सोनाली की। तो अभी आगे भी बहुत सारे खर्चे हैं। एक बार सरकार सामने आके देखे, हम लोगों के खर्चे देखे कि कितने हैं। फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम इतनी होती है और मेडिकल इतना कॉस्ट इतना होता है कि एक बार वो आके हम लोगों की तरफ देखे तो सही। 7 साल से मैंने भी ये चीजें डाली हुई है, PIL का डाला हुआ है, उन्होंने अभी तक आंखें खोल के देखा ही नहीं है कि क्या चल रहा है। और इतने सारे अटैक्स होते ही जा रहे, कौन करेगा?
How much compensation is she entitled to? Because the last time I interviewed her last week, she said she hasn't got any compensation. Alok?
I think at least a survivor should get 50 lakhs, you know.
See,
Not only you know, even they can't travel like this, you know. They should have special facilities. They should have AC at least, you know. The faces are every
all her rehabilitation care.
Absolutely.
You can't have a cap on something like this.
Because
Because
I think
the
very simple thing is that, you know, we
penetration
know.
of
Yeah,
one
let
second,
me
the
just
penetration of medical
add one
insurance
line to
is
that.
pretty
because
limited in
important.
rural areas.
Listen, it's
Yeah.
very important to understand this, that medical care, you know, all medical bills should be picked up by government. So you will know, government will know what to pay, because, and also post-operative care. Because, you know, just giving 5 lakh, 10 lakh for what? You know, this is,
See, they
there has to be
need
rational
reconstructive
decision.
surgery. They need so much. And for example, Sonali's case, I mean, she's been involved with it, but I think I've just read about it. She's probably had 10 to 17 operations already. And this kind, what she said is 30 lakhs and it's a tip of the iceberg. So can you have a limit at 50? You can't.
No.
You can't have any limit. So what you are saying is that the state owes it to these people, because these are state cases. So these are offences against the state. So accused giving a person 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or 1 lakh is meaningless for the person. Firstly, it's not in
is
time.
a two-pronged approach needed? One, of course, insofar as rehabilitation is concerned, the state and the accused put together need to foot the reconstructive
I
surgery bill.
would put it at the
There should be a
state.
medical insurance.
I would put it at the state. If the moment that we start looking at the accused having to do it, you are just going to be passing the buck. The first thing is, a person like this requires state care and the best medical care. You do have great medical private government hospitals and you have private hospitals sometimes.
Right.
So I think that's, sorry, let it,
Yeah.
but all I say is that it can't be a two-pronged. The accused may have to pay a fine, that's one thing, but the state has to pay for rehabilitation as well as some job, some structure, as well as medical care.
I'm out of time, Ranjana.
Well, I think just very briefly, first of all, that the again and the family again, it has to be 12 years to life, because that's what has been stipulated in the law. And secondly, that the fine should constitute, you know, auction of the family resources, whatever he owns or whatever he has or whatever he is likely to own, should be all auctioned and given to the victim, because that will also punish, and in some way that will act as a deterrent. So that is also very
आखिरी
important.
शब्द मैं आपको देना चाहूंगी, आप क्या बोलेंगे इस बारे में? क्या फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट्स होने चाहिए? क्या ज्यादा
सिग्नेचर लेके मैं गई थी, होम मिनिस्ट्री गई थी और मैं सुशील कुमार सिंधे से मिलने के लिए गई थी, तो उनके पास टाइम ही नहीं था मिलने के लिए, देखने के लिए ही टाइम नहीं था। तो उनके आगे हम लोग खड़े होके उनको दिखा रहे थे, रोका उनको दिखाया, जब जाके उन्होंने सुना।
जी, आपकी हौसले की दाद देनी पड़ेगी कि आपने इतने समय ये फाइट लड़ी, और आपका बहुत शुक्रिया लक्ष्मी आने के लिए। न्यूज नाइट, रंजना कुमारी, आलोक दीक्षित and Geeta Luthra, thank you so much for joining us on News Night. So there needs to be dispensation of justice in the real essence of the term for all the acid attack survivors. There's no doubt about that. We'll still do a break now, but remember you can catch all the latest news from the world of politics, sports and business. Our DD News Twitter handle, it is DD News Live round the clock. We are heading for a short break. As I said, we'll be back in just a bit. Please don't go anywhere. tonight is a recap of the headlines. Government decides to bite the reforms bullet. Now, the intraday trade saw the US dollar ending lower against the rupee at 59.31 against the dollar. The RBI is snapping a three-day rally. Markets landed in the red. Sensex fell by over 183 points, pulled down by banking and financial sector stocks after Reserve Bank's steps to quell rupees volatility sparked concerns of rate hikes. The 30-share benchmark index commenced the day's trade weaker by a whopping 368 points from its previous close. It, however, trimmed some of the losses during the day and closed lower at 19,851. Similarly, Nifty lost 76 points to close at 5,955. Gainers on the chart were ITC, Bharti Airtel, Hindustan Unilever, ONGC and NTPC, which were up by between 1 to 2%, while ICICI Bank, SBI, HDFC, L&T and Jindal Steel led the losers pack and were down by between 3 to 7%. Overall, market breadth was negative with 1443 declines as against 847 advances. 142 scrips, however, remained unchanged. On to our second top focus tonight. Well, this is what the RBI has done to shore up the rupee. One of the steps is overnight banks borrowing from the RBI has been capped at rupees. This is how RBI's moves will impact you. Less rupee in the market means more demand, less supply, and that of course will make the rupee dearer. RBI's move will strengthen the rupee in the short term as well, which is of course the immediate concern of the point tonight is, will RBI's moves stabilize the rupee or will they backfire on the economy? To talk about that, we have with us Subhamoy Chatterjee. He is Deputy Editor with the Indian Express. Welcome. Mr. Bhattacharjee, do you think that RBI will succeed in containing the slide of the rupee, at least in the short term, and how will it impact the economy?
Will it succeed? Not really much, for the simple reason that the compulsions which are pushing the rupee down are pretty much there, and that is on the domestic front. RBI will be able to get, would have been able to get help if the fiscal situation, if the current account deficits and others really start showing a strong upward trend, improvement rather. But for instance, today's ADB forecast has reduced the growth projection for India from 6% to 5.8. Now that's just a symptom. But others, everybody is sort of taking a contra call on the Indian economy. So I don't think that the RBI projection, RBI move will have, other than a very blip in the overall scheme of things, it doesn't really move the rupee secularly up, which actually isn't something to feel bad about, because rupee going down isn't something to particularly be worried about.
Will the decision that has been taken by the government today to hike FDI in 13 sectors improve foreign investment in those sectors, and will that help bridge the huge gap that we are seeing insofar as our deficit is concerned?
These are essentially very good steps to take, and they should have been taken earlier rather than later. And it's a perfectly good set of decisions. Whatever has been taken, there are some which have not been taken, but those which have been taken are also extremely useful ones. The point is, once these decisions have been taken, they will not lead to any inflow right now. What they'll do is, because based on these, companies will be making assessment, and based on those assessment, then they'll be pouring in money or putting in money, whichever you call it, next year. So that is definitely something that will happen. In fact, it's already happened. The rates, the overnight call rates, the call money rates, the CBLO, collateralized borrowing and lending obligation, all those have started moving up, and they would. That was the whole idea. That was the, I mean, the sort of the collateral damage from pushing up the rates, the margin on the marginal standing facility from 100 basis point difference with the repo rate, which you have now pushed it up to 200 points. It's effectively a 300 point gap between the repo rate and the MSF. So, and as you said in your story, that the banks can borrow soft loans only up to 75,000 crore. So anything extra, they'll have to go to the higher cost window. So the market also reads those signals, and the market also starts lending at higher rates. So essentially, the cost of borrowing for corporate India has definitely gone up, and in fact, it hasn't gone up today. We will be seeing the interesting developments tomorrow, because today was a day which the RBI had given for the banks to sort of square up positions, people
in control. It remains to be seen how long will that last. Thank you, Subhamoy Bhattacharjee, for joining us on News Night. Well, Finance Minister P. Chidambaram today said that direct benefit transfer now extends to 121 districts, and that is 20% of the economy. Addressing a news conference in Jaipur on the launch of the food security program, he said that the National Food Security Ordinance has been promulgated. He also termed the program as the most important legislative measure which ambitiously aims to eradicate poverty and hunger. Finance Minister said that the ordinance ensures nutritional benefits to all pregnant and lactating mothers, children and infants.
The National Food
Support price for farmers has been increased substantially and investment in public sector enterprises hiked. He said that all LPG consumers will get subsidy in their bank accounts through DBT, that is direct benefit transfer, by the end of this year. We'll take a break now, but a lot more is waiting for you on the other side. Please don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching News Night. The Delhi High Court today dismissed Congress leader Sajjan Kumar's plea challenging framing of murder and writing charges against him in a 1984. The CBI filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court today on the government's affidavit on CBI autonomy. CBI's affidavit said that the period of 2 years for the CBI director's term is too short. It added that the CBI director's term needs to be a minimum part to induct the superintendent of police level officers, but should be given the same powers as enjoyed by a secretary in the Government of India. Moreover, the director should report directly to the Union Home Ministry without having to go through the Department of Personnel and Training. Opposing the setting up of an accountability commission to look into complaints against CBI officers, the agency said that the creation of an independent commission would compromise discipline, and powers for budgetary allocation too. The Supreme Court has summoned Chief Secretaries of 4 states, UP, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, for failing to take steps on police reforms. They have been. Union Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare A.H. Khan Chaudhary was allegedly attacked during a Congress rally at Kaliachak in West Bengal's Malda district today. Bullets were fired and bombs hurled. A war of words is playing out between the BJP and the Congress on a decision that was taken by the BJP unit of Andhra Pradesh to charge ₹5 for all those who wanted to attend Narendra Modi's rally in Hyderabad on the 11th of August. That has snowballed into a major political controversy. Moving on to some international news now.
Pay to listen to Modi. That was the BJP's new formula of.
On some international news now, the election to choose the next Pakistan president will be held on the 6th of August, over a month earlier than expected. This is being seen as an attempt to hasten the exit of incumbent Asif Ali Zardari. Tonight, we'll be seeing you again tomorrow. Until then, take care. Goodbye.